Good morning, Professor Reyes. How are you?
Good morning. I'm all right. Thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, I can. Yes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Can you hear me well as well? Yeah.
Yes.
It seems you are really sleepy from your eyes.
Of course.
3 p.m.
It's
3 a.m. in the morning.
3 a.m. over here, so it's still
Yeah.
dark and cold. I actually had to switch on the heating because my office here it's a bit cold. It's in the attic, so it gets
Right.
all the wind in the night, and it's basically it's a 3-floor house. So it gets all the wind, so it's very cold here. But I think it should be fine in a few minutes. My hands are still cold, but yeah, should be fine.
Ray, is it possible to use the virtual background that CA provided? Is it possible? Can you
The
do
background,
Yeah.
I can check. It's the one you sent me, didn't you?
that? Yes. I think they also send you in the chat box as well.
Yeah, let me check because you sent me so many emails that.
Yeah. I think they just send you again. BG1.
When did they send it? Do you know?
There in the chat
Yes,
box.
now in the chat box.
Ah, okay. Wait. Do my best because I'm not very familiar with.
Go to the video option and select the virtual background and add the file.
Yeah, but I cannot see the file. It says we encourage you to use the above some background, which I cannot see. Is there a link or something? So I cannot see the link. I only see the message. It says dear all, we encourage you to use the above Zoom background, but there is no link, or at least I cannot see it from here.
I just send you the email again. Yeah.
Okay, so let me try to. How big is it? Because it's not coming in.
So at the moment, we have about 20 participants. So maybe we just wait for
Yeah,
you.
let's wait a bit more if you want.
have
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is it? Ah, here. Okay. All right. Page 1. No, I think I can only. Settings maybe. Ah, background. Okay, found it. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with. With Zoom.
You go to the video and select visual background and add.
Yeah, but it doesn't give me. I mean, it says non-blur, and then it has a bridge and something else. It doesn't give me the option to.
If you see to the top corner, you see the plus sign. You click that add photo, add image.
No, because I mean the thing is I don't have Zoom. I joined from the browser.
All right. Okay.
So I don't have, because I have a university managed laptop.
Yeah. Okay.
And I cannot install Zoom, so I'm afraid I cannot.
Yeah, I think that's all right.
Shall I blur it? I can blur it if that helps. Maybe, I don't know.
So shall we proceed then? It's okay, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Next time I'm going to print it out and put it in a copy.
All right. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all to the webinars on how to further your world-class educations in UK. So the first session will start from 9 to 10 Thailand time, and the first session will be on top journal reviewers insight to win top quartile publications that will start from 11 to 12 Thailand times. So I am Ms. Nithiwan Promkeo, Academic Officer of Center for International Affairs. May I be with you today as the moderators of this event. So this webinar is organized by School of Engineering and Technologies and supported by Center for International Affairs. On behalf of the organizers and the guest speakers, I would like to extend a warm welcome to today's workshop. And hope you will be here with us until the end of the class. So at the moment, we have around 20 participants. We have from Malaysia, from Thailand, and from Vietnam. All right. Thank you for your time here with us today. And so may I briefly tell you the schedule of today's webinar first? So today we have Assistant Professor Dr. Patnarin Supakorn, the Acting Director of Center for International Affairs here with us. She will be give you a welcome speech to everyone. And then we have the guest speaker, Assistant Professor Dr. Reyes Garcia. He is the lecturer from the Warwick University in UK that will talk about how to further your study in UK and the top reviewer insights to win the top quartile journal publications. All right. Before we proceed to the webinars, may I show you the video presentations of Warlayalak University, so everyone will get to know more about Warlayalak University. 1 second.
Warlayalak University is located in Tha Sala, Nakhon Si Thammarat, a major city of southern Thailand. The province has many natural wonders and beautiful beaches all along the coast, and is in the same region as the popular beaches of Koh Samui and Phuket. The campus is surrounded by the beautiful and large greenery of Khao Luang National Park. Warlayalak University presents a fine example of the feng shui concept of water, land, and mountains combination. With the direction set by Professor Dr. Sombat Thamrong Thanyawong, our president since July 2016, the university has stepped into an era of change, focusing on high quality, both in teaching, learning, and research. Over 90% of the students who graduate from Warlayalak University pass professional examinations in their first attempt, one of the best records in the country. Warlayalak University was assessed by the Office of the Higher Education Commission of Thailand in 2019 and awarded a score of 4.8 out of 5, which is among the highest in the country. Crucial items of the ranking included quality of graduates, research and publication, social engagement, promotion of art and culture, and management. In addition, academic ranks have nearly doubled in the last 4 years. The rate of employment among graduates is 98%, something that we at Warlayalak University are very proud of. To achieve high quality and internationally recognized learning outcomes, Walayalak University incorporates the UK Professional Standards Framework, or UKPSF, in all her teaching. High-level student learning is of great importance. About 60% of our teaching staff have been awarded fellowships from the UK-based Advanced Higher Education. As part of Walayalak University's internationalization efforts and to prepare for our graduates for high-level and international job opportunities, English language proficiencies is emphasized. There are more than 30 international educators dedicated to first-year English language teaching alone at the university. Smart facilities such as smart classrooms, smart laboratories, smart mobility, and smart security are in place so that the students can truly enjoy their university life and develop the various skills necessary for their future careers. Study at Walayalak University is active, engaging, and fun. Walayalak University is a comprehensive research university with 3 main academic areas: health sciences, science and technology, and social sciences, with 42 programs across 14 schools and 3 international colleges, plus a number of international courses. Walayalak University cares deeply about her staff and student health. The university provides modern high-standard sports facilities, including swimming pools, a fitness center, and other sports amenities. Walayalak University prides herself on being a leading comprehensive research university committed to academic excellence. The university operates 21 centers of research excellence that drive high-level research and education and academic careers and academic services that support Thailand's technology policy, or Thailand 4.0. Her achievements are reflected in the SCImago Institutions rankings. Walayalak University's innovation and research publications rankings have been among the highest both in Asia and in Thailand. In addition, Nature Index ranks Walayalak University among the top in Thailand in physical sciences. Also, Walayalak University regularly produces world-class publications in ISI Scopus Index journals. Internationally rated and cited research publications have increased dramatically under Professor Dr. Sombat's leadership, and Walayalak University is increasingly recognized for its active research environment. Social engagement projects that translate research findings and innovations into practice for the benefit of the community are another hallmark of Walayalak University. Entrepreneurial spirit is much valued at Walayalak University. Students can enjoy co-working spaces with the private sector right here at the university's Science and Technology Park. With a pristine location surrounded by greenery, Walayalak University is a natural location for a botanic garden. Initiated by the Schools of Pharmacy, Walayalak University features one of the most beautiful herbal gardens in Thailand. Not only is this garden beneficial to the students of the School of Pharmacy and applied Thai traditional medicine, it is also a place where the public can visit and enjoy. Walayalak University has one of the most treasured 216 hectares botanic garden, featuring a diverse tropical plants. It is also a popular camping grounds for the university students and staff and the public. And this is where a natural history museum is being constructed. The museum is an initiative of Her Royal Highness Princess Mahachakri Siririthorn. With combined land and man-made lakes of 48 hectares, Valai Park is a famous place for recreation, not only for students and staff, but also for the public. Sitting at the park's deck, watching a sunset against Khao Luang Mountains in the evening is a pleasure enjoyed by many. Valai University plays a very significant role in addressing the country's healthcare needs, especially in southern Thailand. The University Medical Center, constructed on 65 hectares and with 750 beds, and the most advanced medical technology will be operational starting in 2021, serving up to 500,000 patients annually. The university is committed to providing education opportunities for all. The university seeks to excel in research and innovations. The university's mission to produce graduates that are both professionally competent and morally sound is uncompromising, consistent with the vision to be an institution of good governance, a source of knowledge for critical problems facing the nation, to unfailingly address community needs, and to strive for international recognition for excellence. A university where young people can embrace their dreams, a university that challenges itself to promote harmony and solve global problems. Change never stops. We are changing. We are a university of quality. This is a land of glory for all.
Thank you for watching our video presentations. Hope you get to know more about Valai University. All right. So now may I invite Associate Professor Dr. Thanongsak Imjai to give a welcome speech to everyone, please. Please welcome.
Right. Right. Good morning, Ms. Panarin Supakon, Center of Internal Affairs, Valai University, her staff, our lovely moderator as well, Professor Dr. Reyes Garcia from the University of Warwick, England, our visiting professor here. In fact, he's one of my best friend there back to 2007. That was like 15 years ago, back in Sheffield. Dear colleagues, Center of Research Excellence and Research Center, Valai University, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to see you all here and to welcome you to our webinar on the opportunity for world-class education, Tier 1 journals and international fundings. This is a part of visiting professor programs funded by the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Innovations. The webinar consists of the 3 technical sessions running on the 11th and the 18th of April. So today, the 11th of April, we have session 1 and 2 running consequently. So we have in session 1, we bring you with the title, How to Further Your World-Class Education in UK, followed by the session 2, Top Journal, Reviewers Insight, to win what we call Tier 1 publications. And also on the 18th of April, we have session 3, which is really special topics on let's get research funding from international sources. I do hope that the discussion in these 2 days will help us consider not only what we are researching, but also how we are doing it, so that in the end, we could be a part of research community and to know that the publishing in the top tier is not easy, yet it is possible if we work hard. Once we get published, we will be surely very proud on what we have been doing in order to reflect our research to the world. At the outset, I want to thank Dr. Reyes for accepting our invitation to share your expertise. I also thank all active partners for cooperating in our university to support various sessions in addition to Institute of Research and Innovation. I would like to thank the Center of Internal Affairs, also known as CIA, Valai University, for always fostering the work on research collaboration between Warlock University and top university around the world. Thanks again for your presence today, and more importantly, for your commitment. I look forward to this discussion later on. So this is like the webinar. Anyone have the question, you just raise your hand and ask the question, or just give your question in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thanongsak, for the welcome remarks. And we hope that we can success for the today webinar. And now may I invite Assistant Professor Dr. Patnarin Supakon, our Acting Director of Center for International Affairs, to give an opening speech. Please welcome.
Thank you, Punitiwan, for your introduction. And may I address myself first to Director Thanongsak Inchai, Institute of Research and Innovation at Warlock University, distinguished guest. Good morning and good evening to Assistant Professor Dr. Reyes Garcia, our honorable speaker from the University of Warwick, the United Kingdom of Great Britain. How are you doing? I hope you all are living a healthy life the best you can, with our mask on all the time and with our hands always clean with alcohol. And please maintain a healthy lifestyle because it is the best medicine at your disposal. I hope you all agree that he who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything. Today we meet virtually for a very good cause. We are going to learn about scholarships for world-class education from about 9 to 10. The webinar is co-organized by Warwick University, Institute of Research and Innovation, and Center for International Affairs at Warlock University, as Director Thanongsak has mentioned earlier. And investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Education is the passport for the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Warlock University welcome all international colleagues to our 4th episode of International Webinar Series 2022 on Scholarship for World-Class Education, hosted by one of the world leading scholar, Assistant Professor Dr. Reyes Garcia in Structural Engineering from the University of Warwick. May I introduce him to our distinguished participant. He obtained his 5-year degree with honors in civil engineering from the University of Michoacan in Mexico, and his Master of Science in Earthquake Engineering and Engineering Seismology from the Rose School in Italy and from University Joseph Fourier de Grenoble, one in France. And also he obtained his PhD from the University of Sheffield in United Kingdom. Dr. Reyes has more than 20 years of research and consultancy experience in the fields of earthquake engineering, structural concrete fiber reinforced plastic composite for construction. He has been heavily involved in management and coordination of multi-partner, the European Union and Research Council funded projects in excess of £10 million. He has designed and coordinated large-scale facilities in Europe, and he has published more than 60 articles, papers, and book chapters. He regularly reviews research grant proposals for national research councils of Europe, Asia, and Latin America, as well as manuscripts from more than 20 international journals. He is associate editor of ICE's journal Structures and Buildings. He has been member of committees, keynote speaker, chair in various international conferences in Latin America and Asia. He is also visiting professor at Warlock University, Thailand. We wish you the best education and a bright future of great education for all. May I present to you now Dr. Garcia from Warwick University.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Supakon, for your kind introduction. Can you hear me well, everyone? Yeah, okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the video as well. It was good to see many familiar places. I have to say I've been to Walailak only once, and it's a beautiful land of glory, as you call it. Let me try to share my screen now. Can you see my screen now? Can anyone please speak up, because now I cannot see the. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can see
yeah.
that.
Yes.
We
Okay,
can
excellent.
see it. Yeah.
International mobility. Yeah, that's basically the idea of this presentation. Just to give you a brief overview of how things are looking like at the moment in the UK. So hopefully by the end of this session, you will have a better idea of not only what source of funding we have at the moment, but also the many challenges and where Thailand and the UK are more or less sitting at the moment. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover different things. First of all, a brief introduction. Then I'm going to talk about the University of Warwick itself, and then how the UK educational system works, or more or less how it works. I'll try to summarize it quickly. And then I'm going to talk about internationalization and mobility, which is I'm going to spend a lot of time on this. And then some personal insights on how I think things look like. And then we're going to see towards the end funding opportunities, and also one slide about personal statements, how to make them look better. You already introduced most of the things I've done, so I won't spend too much time on myself. Probably the only thing I would mention is that I've been collaborating with Dr. Imjai since he mentioned 2007. That's when we met, but we've been actively collaborating since 2015. We have organized 3 conferences, essentially, trying to look at many things in civil engineering. And we have different areas of collaborations, not only in applications, but other areas within the civil engineering topics. Talking about the University of Warwick, I don't have a video as nice as the one you had, but I have a couple of slides about us. The University of Warwick is located in Coventry. Coventry is somewhere here. This is the big island of the UK. This is Great Britain. So Coventry is somewhere here in the middle of England. It's a relatively small city. It's 250,000 people, but it's well known in the UK and in Europe for being the car manufacturing capital of the UK. Jaguar and Land Rover are basically located here in Coventry. Nowadays, things are moving very quickly. Rather than car manufacturing, is more R&D what we're doing. And especially now, things are moving very quickly towards electric vehicles, battery manufacturing, and other things. Being in the center of England, this region is known as the heart of England, and actually Shakespeare's birthplace. It's only 20 minutes from here, from where I live. We're very near to Birmingham. From Birmingham Airport, it's only 25 minutes by train. And at the university itself, we are around 2,600 members of staff, and together we service around 28,000 students. And here you can see a few photographs. This is one of our buildings, teaching buildings at the university. This is Coventry. This is Warwick itself, which is a town nearby the university with a castle. We all know that rankings are very tricky and relative as well, but it's always nice to see our universities at the top of the rankings. And like in the case of Walailak, Warwick is also top university, not only in the UK, but also in Europe. In the UK, we are usually top 10 in all the different rankings that are published here. If we look at the world rankings, we are at the moment in the 61st place in the world, which is quite good. In terms of the School of Engineering itself, where I essentially work, we are classified as 6th in the UK in the latest Guardian guide, and 3rd in the UK in terms of research excellence. I'll speak a bit more about research excellence later on in the next presentation. But in any case, what I want to show is that we are a top research university, not only in the UK, but also in the world. Specifically speaking about the School of Engineering, in the School of Engineering, we're around 80 teaching and academic staff. Then we have a number of postdocs and obviously lots of PhDs doing research. Within the School of Engineering, this is essentially a general School of Engineering. So think of it as more or less the Cambridge model. That's essentially what we have. Within our model, we have a general engineering, and then what we have is different streams, different disciplines. And that has a benefit because rather than focusing too much on specific items, we have a multidisciplinary collaboration between the different streams. So some of these PhDs I mentioned, for instance, they do research on different topics, 2 or 3 topics at the same time. We have main streams, electrical and electronic systems. We also have systems and information, civil and environmental engineering, which is the one I belong to. And we also have mechanical and process engineering. And you actually see a 5th one here, this one, manufacturing and automotive. This is not specifically part of the School of Engineering, but it's being delivered by Warwick Manufacturing Group, WMG. But we share teaching with them, and therefore we also consider it as our, let's say, our 5th stream within the school. One of the main benefits of our degrees, of our programs at Warwick, is the flexibility and also the mobility it allows us to have between different topics, being a general School of Engineering. So for instance, if you come to us, you can finish your Bachelor of Engineering, your BEng, in 3 years, and that's different to many countries. In many countries, you have to do 5 years of study, or in some others, you have to do 4 years of study. If you come to us, you can finish and be a civil engineer, for instance, in only 3 years. That said, many of our graduates, they usually follow the 4-year route. And what I mean by that is they spend 3 years at the university itself, and then they spend another year, typically between their 2nd and 3rd year. They go somewhere else. They can go a year to do some research in a particular topic they like. Sometimes they go abroad. We have different partner universities around Europe, so they can study actually somewhere else, maybe France, maybe Italy. Or they actually can go and work for a company for a year. So they do what we call a work placement, and then they come back for a final year with us, or 2 years. It really depends. It's up to them and up to the employer when they want to have the students around. So that's basically what we call it, the 3+1, because they finish as Bachelor of Engineering. The other option is to do what we call the Master of Engineering, which is essentially 4 years. In that case, they can go just straight and do the 4 years without doing anything else. So they come to us for 4 full-time years, and that's it. They essentially go home as MEng students or MEng graduates. Or they also have the option to do pretty much the same as a bachelor, which is spend a year in research or abroad or with a work placement. But in that case, it's going to take them 5 years to finish their degree. And of course, there is another option, which is the Master of Engineering with an exchange year, which is 4 years. The exchange year has to be, again, in one of our partner universities around Europe. So in this sense, our degrees are very flexible. And as I said before, because we're a general engineering department, many of our students choose subjects and modules from different streams. So for instance, a student doing civil engineering can actually take modules from another stream, mechanical engineering, systems, or even biochemical engineering. These are some of the specialisms we have. Obviously, we have civil engineering here. I won't go into too much detail, but as you can see, we can have different combinations. Mechanical engineering, that's purely mechanical, but then we have manufacturing and mechanical, which combines some modules from the School of Engineering and some others from WMG. In this slide, I'm showing a slightly different degree we have. I'm not sure if you are familiar with what we call the apprenticeships, but these degrees were created just 3 or 4 years ago in the UK, because there was essentially a shortage of some professions here in the UK. So the UK government created these apprenticeships to basically have a combined mode of teaching and learning. And what I mean by this is that the students who follow this route usually get a job with a company. And what I have in this slide is different companies. Most of them are actually in the civil engineering sector. Many of these are consultants or big international companies like Arup that basically design projects all around the world. So what happens is the students apply for these jobs that are advertised as apprenticeships. They spend most of the time, around 75% of their time, they spend it in the company, and they come to us to receive the other 25% of the time as teaching. So these degrees, they finish in 5 years if they follow the normal route. They finish as BEng, so as a normal, let's say, 3-year BEng, but they are already working and studying at the same time. And the best thing of this type of degrees is that because it's government funding, they pay essentially 0 fees for them. For those who are familiar with the UK system, fees are usually a bit expensive in the UK. But when they do an apprenticeship, they basically pay £0 for their degrees. And not only that, they also get a job at the end, because most of these companies actually hire the students. They are already working in the company itself. At the moment, we have 2 degrees, one in civil and infrastructure engineering. That's the oldest one. We started in 2018. And the newest one in electromechanical engineering that started literally just a few months ago. This flexibility allows actually a lot of mobility, and this is actually at the core of the UK educational system. I have lots of things in this slide. I won't describe all of them. We're going to focus mainly on this column here. But what I want to show in this one is essentially how the UK education system works in a nutshell. Here on the left, we have different stages going from the high school level, that's stage 1, to university, stage 2, and then postgraduate student, stage 3. And then different equivalences. Basically, this is undergraduate programs in stage 2, and this is postgraduate. The vast majority of our students follow what we call the traditional route, which is this column here in the middle. So they do their GCSE levels. That's equivalent to secondary education. So think of it as, let's say, 12 to 15 years old. Then they do the A levels between 15 to 17 or 18 year old. And then they come to university. Many times they follow what they call a foundation year, or they come straight to our programs and they do the bachelor degree or the MEng, as I mentioned before. If they do the bachelor, they spend 3 years with us. If they do the MEng, they do 4 years with us. And after that, they usually follow either a master's or a PhD. Something important to mention is that the master's degrees in the UK are usually 1 year. The PhD, it says 2 years over here. Until now, I haven't found anyone who finishes a PhD in 2 years. Most of the times, it's around 4 years and sometimes a bit more than that. So basically, most of the students follow this traditional route. That's essentially matched to what we called a national vocational qualification, which is shown in this column here, and it has different levels going from 2 to 8, 2 being the lowest, obviously, 8 being the highest, and that's equivalent to a PhD qualification. So one of the very good things about the educational system in the UK is that it allows you to actually go to university without necessarily following the traditional route that most of the students follow. So for instance, if at some point you don't follow the traditional route, which is shown here on the left, and you go to college instead, and you do, for instance, something we call functional skills level 2. If you do a foundation year and then you get a higher national diploma, you could potentially go back to university and follow a postgraduate route, because once you finish your higher national diploma, you are more or less at a level 5 with another extra year of study. You go to level 6, which is equivalent to more or less a bachelor's degree, and then you can go to university and do a master's and even a PhD. So essentially, even if you don't follow the traditional route that is shown here in the more or less in the middle, if you follow a non-traditional route through college, you can still make it to university. And this is basically to promote what we call social mobility, because many students don't have the funds or essentially the money to follow the traditional route. Many times they go through the college route because they have to work very quickly, finish school as soon as they can and get a job. If they can't follow the traditional route, they can still make it to university, because in the core of our system is what we call social mobility for everyone. And expanding a bit on mobility and internationalization and trying to put things into context, it's good to define what mobility means. Mobility is essentially the ability to move or to be moved freely and easily. And internationalization is the action or process of making something international. In the context of higher education, what we refer by mobility is any opportunity, especially for students, to work or study abroad whilst undertaking the degree program. And it can be both incoming to our countries or obviously outgoing outside of our countries. In the UK, internationalization of higher education is driven by different needs. First of all, it's cooperation with other countries. If we think of the economy and the social issues in our countries, there is always an asymmetry between different nations. Especially if we think about it, there is a big divide between what we call the global north, that's the countries in the northern hemisphere, and the global south. Despite of these socioeconomic differences between our countries, we still have common problems both at the local and global level. Think of migration, issues with refugees, global warming, safety, citizens, security, you name it. We all have same issues at different scales, but all countries face more or less the same problems. Another driver is that it's a reality. There is different access to knowledge in different countries. There is a very high concentration of knowledge in the global north, and also in terms of technology. And that's very much concentrated in very few countries, and even few social groups or even very few institutions. So there is a need for us to try and share what we know. And then obviously, one of the biggest drivers is that we try to understand better other people, trying to build new identities. Cooperation builds up more solid and common identities, most of the times over the national limits. So if you want to try and understand why things happen in the way they happen in Thailand, there is nothing like cooperation, trying to see why these situations are what they are. It's a reality that we have at the moment lots of competition for educational markets and services as well. And this is again driven by internationalization of economies. So one of the things that globalization brought over the years is the ability to move freely. And that was the case in the UK until 2-3 years ago. And that actually helped globalizing and internationalizing our students. There is always the relevance of education, especially those of us who come from working families with very limited resources. We always see education, science, and technology as elements of social development. And that's a reality because many times in our countries, the access to higher education is very restricted. So if you think about it, in many families, probably one or two of the members of the family can make it to university, but the reality is that most of them cannot make it. And this is also seen as a way to promote social mobility, at least from my personal experience. Again, because my family was basically a working family, working class family. We didn't have many resources. So the only way my parents saw me going up in the social ladder was through education. Yeah, and that's a reality for many people. The only way to get higher in the ladder is by doing studies. The other thing we have at the moment is with all the information technology and communication technologies we have, there is opportunity for new markets. I'm going to expand a bit on this a bit later on, talking about hybrid education and some other things that are coming up. And the other need we have, obviously, is to provide access to more knowledge and know-how, trying to transfer technology and knowledge from the north to the south. And also from the south to the north, because we also learn many things from the south. In terms of the vision, I went to the British Council's website to see more or less how things look like at the moment. The British Council's vision is this one. Basically, they see the UK as a more connected and trusted partner in a more connected and trusting world. And at the core of the British Council, there is always this strengthening cooperation in education between the UK and other countries, and also trying to appreciate creativity and scientific innovation, not only in the UK, but also in other places. Now, one of the things we have to keep in mind here, and why I took information from the British Council, is because the UK is the highest host country for international students in Europe. So essentially, if you think of all the students in Europe, we have around 30 to 40% of the total of students. Yeah, so it's a relatively big share. However, this is proving challenging as well, because we had Brexit 3 years ago, we had COVID 2 years ago, and now we have a war just around the corner of us. So it's proving very difficult to increase internationalization and mobility, not only of students, but also of our staff. Thinking of how the student market looks like at the moment, I have this plot here. This is basically the total student market share, thinking of a total of 2.8 million. That's with figures from 2020, roughly. And what you see in the plot on the left is the total number of students. Then here on the horizontal axis is the academic years until 2014, roughly. And then here on the right, on the vertical axis, we have the share of students going from 50% to 57%. And then we have different countries. That's basically how many students are in different English-speaking countries, also with the UK, showing the UK market share. And something we can see is that until 29, things were more or less stable. Just there is on the right, this scale is going from 30 to 57%. It looks like a big drop here after 2010. My suspicion is that this drop here in the share in the market is due to the ending of what we used to call the post-student visas. Again, I'm going to expand a bit more on post-student visas later on. But this is basically something I faced when I was doing my PhD, towards the end of my PhD. We didn't have this post-student visa program in which after finishing either your master's or your PhD, you could extend your stay in the UK for a couple of years and look for a job. That stopped in 2011. So my suspicion is that this drop we see here was basically due to that effect of stopping that program of post-student visas. But in any case, the UK remains as one of the biggest markets of students in the world. If we look at the origin of students in the UK, we can see that in the last few years, Asia is a massive market and a priority for the UK. Again, here in the vertical axis, we have the share of students coming from different continents here on the right over different years until 2020. So for instance, if we look at 2003, we see that most of our students were actually coming from Europe, which is the one at the very top here, whereas Asia was the second market, but it was in general numbers, in global numbers, it was lower than those students coming from Europe. But in 2020, it's the other way around. The largest market is Asia, and then the second market is Europe. So there is no doubt that Asia is a priority in terms of bringing students to the UK. Again, this is a list with the top 10 countries sending students to the UK, and also Thailand is somewhere there in number 17. So as expected, China was one of the main senders of students to the UK. So at the moment, we're hosting more than 100,000 Chinese students in the UK. And as you can see, there is a long list here. Some of these were actually projections, these ones from 2020. As you can see here, Thailand, number 17. At the moment, we're hosting around 6,000 students. And I have to say, most of these students are actually engineers, because we attract lots of engineers from other countries. So if anyone is an engineer, if you are a student on this call, that's good news for you, because basically that means the market is there for you to come and visit us. This is specifically talking about postgraduate students around the world. Again, this is looking at data from 2012 2024. We have essentially two lines there, one which is in bluish and the other one in yellow. The one in blue was the actual number of postgraduate students in other countries in 2012. The yellow one was actually the expected growth up to 2024. We have to take this data with a pinch of salt, because obviously we're in 2022, and this data here, these columns here, this information is not taking into account both Brexit and COVID. I'm going to expand a bit on that later on. But what we can see here is basically, even with all the issues we had at the moment, there is still an expectation that many postgraduate students will go abroad, mainly from China and India. Those are the two yellow lines there. There is still going to be a big growth, also students from Nigeria. You can see here a relatively big yellow line. Thailand is there, lots of students coming out. That's the blue line. And also there is some expected growth, not as much as in other countries, but still growth, and that's good. Again, talking specifically about Thailand, this is postgraduate students. What we've seen is a mixed market. It seems that the Thai students tend to come more towards the UK. So there is an expectation that the number of Thai students will increase in the UK, whereas other countries like Australia and the United States will see a decrease of Thai postgraduate students going to those countries to study. Again, all this data is not taking into account Brexit and COVID. So again, we have to be careful with the data here. But in any case, there is an expectation that the number of students will carry on growing over the years. And that coincides with some recent findings, some forecasts from the British Council projections. Again, this is without COVID, so just keep that in mind. Something interesting is that even when there is expected growth in the number of students going abroad to study, the growth is not going to be as fast as it used to be in previous years. So from 2000 to 2015, the growth in the number of students going abroad was roughly 5.7% every year. But now that's expected to decrease to only 1.7% in the coming years. So in this sense, we are seeing still an increase, but not as fast as it used to be in the years before. Obviously, China and India are going to be the main markets for students. They are going to account for probably 60% of the global growth in students going to study abroad. And other countries are expected to experience some growth in enrollments at the university level. That's basically a tertiary element here. Indonesia, Malaysia, China, Sri Lanka are expected to have lots of students at university. In terms of those students who will send more students abroad, China, India, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Bangladesh, that's basically this list here at the bottom. Those are the countries that will send more students abroad. And in the same manner as there are more countries sending students out, there are other countries that actually will not send students at all. They will actually see a decrease in the number of students sending or going abroad rather. And you can see here South Korea, Malaysia, Venezuela, obviously with all the economic issues they have, Hong Kong and Singapore. In the particular case of Hong Kong and Singapore, I suspect they are not sending so many students now because many of the best universities in Asia are actually either in Hong Kong or Singapore. And actually, it's the same case in South Korea. In the last 10, 15 years, some universities in Asia are scaling very quickly in the university, in the international rankings, and that makes them very attractive to actually keep the students there. Okay, so now moving on, COVID, which is our favorite topic of conversation nowadays. As I mentioned before, most of the data I showed you before doesn't take into account neither COVID nor Brexit. So here I'm showing a few figures that actually take into account both COVID and Brexit. And again, all this data is coming from the British Council. So what the British Council did is, since 2 years ago, they started doing online surveys, mainly in Asia, to find out whether there was still appetite for the students to come to the UK, given all the situations we had, Brexit and COVID mainly. So they did this online survey. You can see here in different countries, China, Thailand included. And they asked a question to the students. It's basically the question here, you can read it at the bottom. If if you had the chance to do or to study somewhere else, would you be able to consider it as a possibility in the next few years? And what they found is basically they, starting from the bottom, most of the students say they would consider coming to the UK. So in that sense, COVID didn't have a massive impact in the desire, the willingness of the students to come to the UK. So in 2020 was 15%, 2021 14%. So in that sense, COVID didn't affect that much that desire, the appetite of the students to study somewhere else in the next 3 years. However, something interesting is that there was a shift. Now more students are considering doing online degrees. So that went basically from 47% in 2020 to 53%. And I think that's a trend we're going to see in the coming years, especially as in many countries we are moving towards a hybrid mode in which we teach most of the lectures online with pre-recorded videos, and then we provide all the practical activities, essentially laboratories, seminars, and so on, face-to-face. So I think as we move more towards that hybrid teaching methods, we are going to see more of this willingness of students to take on online degrees rather than face-to-face degrees. However, even if many students are thinking or are considering going abroad to do studies, clearly COVID has an impact on that. And most of the students, around 28% of the students, are considering delaying or deferring the decision of going abroad. Another interesting figure is that only 6% of students, of the students who fill in these surveys, said that COVID didn't impact their study abroad plans. So clearly, things or COVID is still affecting us, and in my case, in a very personal manner, because that's the main reason why I'm still here in my office and not enjoying Thailand. But anyway, that's something else. Now, Brexit, and this is something I found very interesting, because actually Brexit seems to be good in terms of attracting students to the UK. Again, the question here was basically, it's here at the bottom, now that the UK left the European Union, is this making more attractive or less attractive for students to come to the UK? And it seems that actually leaving the European Union makes the UK more attractive for international students. And that's surprisingly true for Thailand. Thailand is here, it's basically the first column. So 72% of the Thai students who answered this question said that the UK was actually more attractive now that it had left the European Union. For many, it doesn't make any difference, but for others, it makes less likely to come to the UK for their studies. So this is something very interesting, and I would be very happy to hear from you at some point later on to see why this is actually and this is actually true. Because I was a bit shocked when I saw this data that Thai students look at the UK in a better position now that we left the European Union. The other interesting thing is what I mentioned before. When I was doing my PhD, when I was about to finish in 2011, 2012, they essentially stopped this program, the post-study visa. It used to be called like that. But now, after we left the European Union, the UK was in a position to basically bring back this program. The program is called now New Graduate Visa. It's essentially the same, So essentially, after you finish your degree, either your master's or your PhD, you apply for this visa. It's almost automatic. As soon as you have your degree, that's it. You apply for the visa and you get it in a few weeks. It's almost a trivial application. But with this visa, you can look for jobs for 2 years in the UK, and then in many cases, if you carry on working, like in my case, you can essentially stay here for longer if you want. And again, one of the things that I found shocking is that not many people were aware of this new graduate visa. In Thailand, that's not the case. Actually, most of the Thai students were aware of this new program, but in other countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, roughly half of the students didn't really know about this program. So it's important for us to also try to get the message across and say that, well, basically, there is this new opportunity in which once you finish your graduate students, you can stay with us for a couple of years to carry on your studies. I'm just checking the time because I'm more or less halfway. Yeah, need to speed up. Yeah, some personal insights on how I look at things and in terms of internationalization and mobility. Clearly, there are many benefits in mobility for the students going abroad. Obviously, living and studying in another country broadens the social and cultural perspectives. It also has to do with maturity in terms of intellectual maturity, personal maturity, professional. Going abroad helps us a lot to grow in many aspects of our lives. It also brings better job opportunities. It teaches you flexibility, resilience. It teaches you to adapt very quickly to changes. And many of these skills, because they are soft skills, they can actually go to your CV if you are thinking in going abroad to study. It's also good to go abroad because we can experience different environments, not only in terms of academic environment, educational, everyday life, but also in terms of weather. At least in the UK, we are very famous because we can get all sorts of weather in the same day. You can have rain, snow, sunshine, all in a single day. And then obviously you can develop other personal skills, improve your English if you come to the UK or to an English speaking country, but it also teaches people to be more tolerant and appreciate the differences between cultures and between countries. And obviously when you go abroad, you get to know other people, and with that you can build long-lasting relationships like this talk I'm giving you now. It's basically because I met Dr. Imjai many years ago, and he invited me to give these sort of talks. For Walailek University, the way I see it, there are many benefits for you as a host institution. That's basically bringing students to Walailek. Why? Because basically you can extend your outreach, you can increase visibility of your university. And I think this also matches and aligns very well with the internationalization strategy you showed in your video. Obviously, you are an international university, you're trying to expand and to make yourselves known in the world. So this is a very good opportunity for you to do so. It also brings in other things like multiculturality, in the sense that you not only send out students, but you also receive international students, and that makes your community more diverse. And obviously, as you also send students abroad as a university, they also work as ambassadors of your university, and that makes your university known in other parts of the world. And of course, if you send students abroad and they come back, that increases job opportunities, and that also improves the position of the university in employability rankings. Although I think you mentioned 98% of employability, which is massive. So yeah, very well done for you. Now there are many challenges when it comes to internationalization and movement of students at the moment. One of them is that we have a very competitive environment in terms of funding and scholarships. So you have to be, you have to fight for scholarships quite fiercely. There is also a need of more cooperation in research and development, again, between North and South, especially now that many of our countries are being a bit more protective. In terms of the way I see it, Asia is growing a lot in terms of student market. So as I mentioned before, Singapore, Hong Kong, they are attracting now many students. Barriers and protectionisms are going to be always an issue, especially when we think of social issues we have. Many times countries just decide to shut their borders, and that includes also students, staff, and so on. And this is something I was mentioning before. The way I see it now in the process of globalization and with the reduction of the number of students going abroad, I think it's going to be a very challenging market for everyone, not only to send students abroad, but also to bring students in. Yeah, so the market is still expected to grow, but at a much lower pace. And then we have obviously big concerns, especially here in Europe, with immigration, security, terrorism, especially here in the UK. And at any moment, they can just literally shut their borders. At the national and local levels, some of the things I've found by talking to people and visiting different places is that many times especially the undergraduate students, are not aware of the different opportunities and funding opportunities offered by their own universities. And I think in that sense, dissemination is critical. And that's why these sort of talks are important, to basically see what's outside for them. Clearly, we need more resources, not only financial resources, but also in terms of staff that help with dissemination and so on. And I think something else we can do better is also try to be more diverse in terms of the programs we offer, and in terms of the flexibility we offer to students. So from one single program to get modules or to study modules from other programs. There is also a need to make procedures easy to recognize diplomas and degrees from one country to another, especially when students come back to our countries. And I think another need is to essentially train the students not only in English language, but also in terms of how they have to look for funding even on the internet. I think in that sense, what LILAC is quite good, because obviously you ask your students to get a certain mark in their English language, but I'm aware of many other universities in Thailand that don't do it. So in that sense, I think there is more need to train the students properly. Now in Thailand, you have obviously many challenges, but also many opportunities. One of them is your demographic bonus, because it's a very young country. So you have lots of students, and you're still very young in that sense. So there's a lot of potential for you to actually look at how to mobilize these students and send them abroad. In general, Thailand has very good relationships with the world, and we see Thailand as a very friendly and welcoming country. And the other good thing about you is you have very affordable higher education, especially compared to other countries like the UK or the US. And you also have a long history of international networks of students and staff. I went to the internet. I found essentially two: the Anglo-Thai Society here in the UK and the Samagom Thai Association. That was actually founded in 1901 by King Rama VI. So it's more than 100 years that these networks have been operating. And obviously you have support from your university. In this case, if you're a student in this call, I can only encourage you to reach out to your university, especially the CIA, and try to find what funding opportunities are there for you. I'm sure the staff is going to be happy to give you support. And if you are interested in funding, this is from this slide. Now you have to pay attention, yeah? So wake up now. So the next few slides are going to be about specific funding available at the moment for you if you are considering coming to the UK. What I literally did is based on my experience and what you have on your websites. I went to the CIA's website. I had a look to see what was there. This website is actually quite good. It's very easy to navigate. And if you go to funding, you will see something like this here on the bottom right, where you can find information about different scholarships in different countries. So North America, Europe, Asian countries, and then Australasia as well. I went to see what you had in for Europe, and there is a PDF with a good bunch of information there, lots of links. So the students shouldn't have any excuse to say that they don't know what's going on in terms of funding. The web page is updated, so in that sense, I don't think they have any major issues. The PDF covers essentially the Chevening program, and there is a lot of detail there. So in this presentation, I'm not talking about the Chevening program. I'm going to rather talk about the new scholarships we have for students. These are called GRADE scholarships, and the information I'm going to present is specifically for Thailand. These scholarships are actually relatively new. They literally started in last September. So they are very, very new in that sense. These scholarships fund master's students for a full year. So it's a full scholarship. It provides both the academic fees and the maintenance fees. So basically what you do is you apply for the scholarship and they literally pay the money for your education. At the moment, there are a few universities which are partners in this great university system. Cardiff, Imperial College, Newcastle, Nottingham Trent, Cumbria, you can see here the names. However, you have to keep in mind also on the type of university you are going to do your studies. In this particular case, only the first three universities, Cardiff, Imperial, and Newcastle, are part of the Russell Group universities. This Russell Group is a group of 24 universities that are the top universities in terms of research. So they are called research intensive universities. So what I mean by this is if you are thinking in doing a PhD after your master's, I would strongly suggest you to go for one of these three universities, Cardiff, Imperial, or Newcastle. And I'm sure we'll have more universities in the future. I'm sure Warwick will be here at some point in the near future, because this is the only program we're going to have in the coming years. But then in any case, if you are considering doing a PhD, try to go to a Russell Group university. If you are planning to do your master's and then just finish your master's, go to industry, work in a company, then going from a non-Russell Group university should be fine. If you want to know more about these sort of scholarships, the British Council has different online and webinars, online events and seminars you can actually attend. I'm leaving here the link. I can actually give you this presentation later on, by the way. So don't worry if in taking notes or anything, I will pass on this presentation to you. These are essentially the requirements if you are a Thai thinking in coming to the UK. As I mentioned before, this is for masters and PhD. So you are expected to have an undergraduate degree already, to be motivated, obviously, and to have an interest in your subject area. I would say that probably the most challenging requirement, at least that was the case for me, was to meet the English language requirement, which basically to come to the UK, you have to set either the IELTS, TOEFL, or one of the Cambridge exam and get a certain mark. The mark depends many times on the university. In the case of Warwick, it can be anything between 6 to 6.5 in IELTS, but this varies between universities and between degrees. So what you have to do is go and check the specific requirements for the university you want to go to, and then based on that, try to get that mark. And then, to be honest, the rest of the bullet points here is basically to be an ambassador of the great scholarships later on after you finish your degree. So I'm not expanding too much on those ones. This is another interesting program I found. This is specifically for women in engineering. And that's something important because it's a reality that if we look at the global picture of how many women we have in engineering, we only have 30% of, for instance, of researchers in science, technology, and innovation. And clearly we need new role models for women in engineering, specifically talking of STEM related subjects. STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So this scholarship for women in STEM is trying to address this issue and provides funding for both masters and postdoc women willing to do further studies in the UK. In the case of masters, again, it's funding for a year, paying essentially all the fees. In the case of what we call early academic fellowships or postdocs, it can be anything between 6 to 12 months, because basically those doing a postdoc, they are working on a very specific project. In terms of the deadlines vary, but they usually close between March and April, again, depending on the university you are applying to. For masters, at the moment, you can apply to Edinburgh, Napier, Brunel in London, Teesside, Liverpool, John Moores. If you want to do like a mini postdoc fellowship, you can go to Glasgow or York. And again, these two universities are part of the Russell Group of 24 research intensive universities. So if you want to do a fellowship, those are the two universities to go to at the moment. Now, again, these scholarships are actually better than the great scholarships I just showed you 5 minutes ago, because it doesn't only cover all the fees and maintenance, it also covers travel costs. So they literally pay your flights to and from Thailand, and also your visas, the NHS, that's essentially the health insurance, especially for moms. So if you are a mom, a Thai mom, this is very relevant for you. And it also gives additional support to pay for English language support in case you need it. Again, I'm leaving you here the link. You can go and check it out later on. These are the requirements. Again, I won't touch on all of them. Basically, what you want to see is women that want to come to the UK that can study pretty soon. This is for the next academic year if you wanted to come. You have to demonstrate a need for financial support, which again, thinking of my personal experience, I always needed financial support to do my studies. And to be honest, without the scholarships I had, I wouldn't be able to be in the position I am at the moment. To have your undergrad, of course, to achieve the mark of the English language. Again, that's probably the most difficult requirement. But obviously, with the support you get from one LILAC, I'm sure you can get there. These are some of the specific scholarships we have at Warwick to support undergraduate students. Probably the most relevant for you in this call are these two in the middle. One of them is Women in Engineering program. So if you come to Warwick, you can apply for additional support, £2,000 per year, and the international scholarships. So again, if you are thinking in coming to us to do your undergrad, we can support you with £4,000 per year. And obviously you would be classified as an overseas student. It's not only the UK giving funding to students, I'm also giving you here some other sources. Obviously, the British Council is probably the best place to start with. You have the Chevening program, but as I said before, that's well covered in the website of the CIA in your university. More and more, we are using what we call the Your Access website. So in this website, we advertised many PhD positions and also postdoc positions, especially now of this Newton Fund program. This website, jobs.ac.uk, most of the PhDs we advertise go to that website. And there are more sources of funding. I was an Erasmus Mundus student myself. I checked on Friday, and there are 163 masters available for you. So I can only advise you to go and check it out. And there are other places where you can find information if you want to go to Germany, France. And there is also funding from other international agencies. Think of the UN, World Bank, AXA, and so on. This is the final funding I'm going to touch on. This is also for both students and staff. This is the new Turing scheme. This is, again, brand new, started in September 2021. And the main intention of this program is that this program is going to replace Erasmus Plus. At the moment, this Turing scheme is only funding British students going abroad, but the expectation is that this is going to fund not only international students, but also staff coming and going to other countries. If you go to the website says that staff exchanges are expected to be funded in the near future. When that's going to happen, I don't know yet, but it's going to take probably a few years until things settle down and we are able to fund again staff to come and to go. So things are very uncertain at the moment in terms of staff mobility. Having said that, because we're still associate member with Horizon Europe, we still have the Marie Curie Global Fellowships. So if you're a member of staff considering coming to the UK, at the moment, I would say the Marie Curie option is probably the best. However, we, the UK, we haven't signed the association memorandum with Europe. So things are a bit unsettled at the moment. The honest truth is that I don't know how things are going to look like in the next coming at least 2 or 3 years. I think things are going to be very unsettled for staff mobility. But in any case, just keep an eye on this Turing scheme. That's going to replace essentially all the Erasmus changes we had for students and staff. This is actually my final slide. I'm already running out of time, so I'll try to cover it quickly. I thought it was important to cover a bit on personal statements, because that's something I get asked very often when I'm abroad. When you apply to do a master's or a PhD in a university, you're usually asked to submit a personal statement, and writing a personal statement takes time, effort, and a lot of patience, and many revisions, because it's not a straightforward task. The way I see it, a personal statement has to show a story. And many times, one of the mistakes I see more often is that students tend to produce a single personal statement and submit that personal statement to every single university they want to apply to. And it doesn't work like that. There is no such a thing like one size fits all. A personal statement, that's why it's called personal. It's not only personal to you, it's also personal to the university and the specific program you want to apply to. In terms of length, anything between, excuse me, anything between 1 to 2 pages of a personal statement should be fine, but the length is going to depend essentially on whether you want to apply for an undergraduate study or a master's or a PhD. So the length varies depending on what you want to do. Again, the way I see it and what I would expect to see in a personal statement is a series of bullet points I have here. First of all, I want to see why you want to study with us. What are your motivations, your passions, what experience you have. So if you want to do, I don't know, automotive engineering, and you have experience with cars before, you have to mention that in your personal statement. You also have to say why you are the best candidate. So you have to show your skills supported with evidence. It's not enough to say I'm good in maths. You also have to prove it. Yeah, I'm good in maths, and this is reflected in very high marks in my maths module at Walailak University. Yeah, usually the way I do it, I've done it over the years, is to follow a rule that I call it the say it, show it. So if you say you are good in maths, yeah, you have to prove it. This is reflected in, I don't know, a mark of 90% out of 100 in my maths module at Walailak University. I also, or ideally, we would like to see how your skills can help us to be better as a community of university, and you being part of that community, how we can be bigger with you coming to study with us. And for that, obviously, you need to do some research about the university and specifically about the course or the modules you want to take, and even the lecturers. So for instance, if you want to do a PhD, again, you can say, I am good in maths. This is reflected in a very high mark of 80–90% in my maths module at Walailak. And I can actually use these maths to do very well in this specific module, in this course I'm planning to take at Warwick University. Yeah, so you have to do some research, or you can also say, well, I'm planning to use my very good maths to do my dissertation with Professor X or Y, who are doing research in applied maths. So you have to be specific on what you want to do with a set of skills that your university gave you, okay? And then it's also nice to see what you want to do later on in your life, what your future plans are. So again, thinking of your maths, you can say, well, I'm planning to use my maths later on to have my own company, to work as a lecturer, to work for this particular company in Thailand, because they develop software in which they want to use many maths and many algorithms that need to be programmed. So you have to think of how we can help you to get to whatever you want to do in the future. There are lots of information on the internet. I'm leaving you here a link. I would say that's probably the first source of information. The internet is great nowadays, but you also have support. I'm sure your university should be happy to help should you decide to write your personal statement. Colleagues at work can help you. Friends, family members can also help you if they are good in English. And I personally can also help you if you're planning to do your studies abroad. I'm happy to check your personal statement and give you some feedback that will hopefully help you to get the position and the scholarships you want. Okay, some final thoughts. Very quickly, I think the UK is still attractive for international students. Obviously, there are many uncertainties. The market is changing very quickly, especially now after COVID. But there are also opportunities, and we have to take hold of those ones. As I mentioned before, I think the way I see it is, I think things are going to change in the near future, especially as we move towards hybrid teaching. So that many universities, Warwick included, are considering now having these sort of hybrid degrees in which we essentially teach all the lectures online with the students being at their home countries. And then we only bring the students for a few months to teach them the practical activities. But obviously that depends very much on the sort of degree you are following. It's different for social sciences, different for engineering, different for medicine and biological sciences. So it really depends on the subject. In terms of if you want to go abroad, preparation is everything. Make sure you get your marks, work on your CV, improve your English, look at networks, information on the internet, trying to look at the scholarship opportunities. Just keep an eye on all that. Living abroad many times is difficult, but it's very exciting, and it opens many doors. And if you think about it, there are lots of things in the world to see. So take the chance, go and see them. And you will see once you're back in Thailand, you are going to appreciate your country much more. And with that, I thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take on any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
Sir, if anyone have any question, please feel free to ask the questions.
Can I ask the question, please?
Sure, yes.
First of all, this is very interesting. Your lecture make me recall back to UK when I was studying in 1979. Dr. Kemery, School of Political Science and Law, but Department of Public Administration. Thank you so much, but I have one question. I'm
Sure.
interested in sending my students to be trained in the company in UK. If it's possible, if we can apply through your help of Warwick University. Normally we have internship for 8 months, so maybe 4 months in UK and 4 months in Thailand, so they can have more experience, especially can be trained in the hospital or company in the public service. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your question. Is the question then whether you can send students at the moment?
Yeah, send student because we plan, maybe we can plan in advance so we can select our
Yes.
student.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're always happy to host students, and I myself in the School of Engineering, I usually host 1 or 2 students every year. In this particular case, is it in medicine or
For yeah, public health.
medicine?
I mean
Public
public
health, yes.
administration, public administration, public service,
yes, so-
something like that. Okay.
So that would be probably more towards, obviously we have the School of Medicine in Warwick, so it wouldn't be directly with me, but I can give you details of people who you can liaise with and then
Okay.
ask them. I'm sure it's going to be the same case, because now as I mentioned before, now that we are not part of the EU, of the European Union, we actually can receive more students from other countries, because we were very restricted before in terms of how many students we could actually bring in every year due to immigration and many other things. But yeah, if you give me your details later on, or you send me an email, I think I have my email in the presentation, so you can just pick it up from there. I can find
Okay.
out from the other schools who's the right person to talk to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We'll contact more detail with
Yes, please.
Dr. Thanongsak.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank
I enjoy your lecture. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, I've got a question too. I was wondering that I see the technical sections is about the world-class education in UK, and also on the 18th is about funding. Are you combining your presentation in these 2 days? I'm not really sure whether you're gonna talk a similar thing, or you got a new thing to talk on the 18th of April.
No, the 18 is totally different.
All right. Okay. So
18 is funding, isn't it?
yes.
But that's research.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So
okay.
that one is a much more advanced level. This was very basic, what I showed you today.
Right. So you got something.
The other
to
one-
talk more.
Yeah, the other one is probably, it's 20 slides, no figures, no drawings. It's just pure solid technical stuff.
And also,
But yeah, that one is different.
the technical tool, I think that is really pure solid than 60 slides. It's coming up, I think.
Yeah, that one is, and that one I'm going to be much faster as well, because that one, I mean, this one was clearly targeting students, so I
Yeah.
tried to speak slowly and go slowly over it. The other one is 60.
I'm not
60
really
slides, so
sure. I
it's a
think
bit faster.
many scholar or grant or something like that is quite new at my age or my time.
Okay.
I'm sure that the CAA collect this data and put in their website, I think.
Okay. Yeah, in any case, so I'll try, okay, so that's good to know, because then I'll try to target it, bring it down then, so that everyone understands what's happening and make sure we are all on the same page.
Dr. Panadin, would you like to, comment on this? I think for the CAA website or about the grant, this is really new. Like for example, the grant from British Council that are available for us, the scholarship for Thai candidates, something like that.
Yeah, I think it would be great if we can share the information that you have right now on our website. And also it will be great for international faculty members here who are looking for chances to do their research. And because Wat Lelak University funding itself is very limited, and if they have more information about international grants, that would help widen their opportunities to do their research, quality research.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can give you the slides. I think I actually sent the slides to Dr. Imjai, but I did some minor changes at some point, so I'll send them again later on, and then you can have the
Okay, thank you.
latest version. Yeah.
Okay. So anyone have any question to ask? Okay, so
Everyone is quiet.
Do you have any names for those university within the social sciences? that we can probably contact in the future for collaboration? Because I think University of Warwick is top in terms of engineering, right?
We're also top in social sciences.
Oh, really?
And if you
Okay.
look, yeah, if you look at our department of politics,
Okay.
history, and economics is, yeah, our are actually, I have to admit, they are better ranked than engineering.
Oh, good.
So actually, yeah, so when you see the rankings again, they are usually, I think it's history in general. The social science in Warwick is probably second or third in the country. But again, if you want to do something specific, just email me, and I can ask people around, because obviously it's easier for us just to literally just go and knock the door and talk to them directly.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Um, okay. If nobody have any questions, may I take up this opportunity to asking you for do our satisfaction survey for us so we can improve our webinar for the next time. And also, if you would like us to organize any special webinars, you can write down on the satisfaction survey, and then we will collect the information, and like maybe we will host some more interesting topic in the next time. Okay. And the next sessions will be start in about 15 minutes. So
Yeah, you can take some nap first for 15 minutes.
I'll just go for a coffee if you don't mind. Yeah. Just to keep me awake.
What time is it now in the UK?
It's 4:45 a.m. So it's still quite early. But I think I'm more or less fine. I just need a coffee and then probably a snack, a sweet or something. Yeah, I'll come back, yeah, in 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
Reyes, can I share
Yes.
your PDF slide first in the chat box so that people can have to see,
Yes.
can see
Okay,
it
so let
in
me.
advance? Yeah, I've got
I'm
a
just
copy
trying-
for you.
Yeah, but that's not the latest one because I did some minor changes at the
Okay,
end.
then we can share that later then.
Yeah, and I corrected a couple of typos I had. Yeah, I'll send it later on after the second.
Yeah, sure. Okay, see you later in 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I'll see you in 10 minutes. Let me get a coffee.
Okay.
So we will
Enjoy
back in
your
about
coffee.
10 minutes.
Yes,
Thank
I'll stay on the call anyway. I'll just switch off the camera.
Just to share with our participants here, Dr. Gracia will visit Warwick University on April 20th. If you would like to meet him in person, he'll be
Hopefully.
here on campus. And you can contact Center for International Affairs to meet with Dr. Gracia when he visits us for probably over a week, right? You'll be returning to the UK in the early May.
Early May, yeah, it's a couple of weeks, hopefully. COVID permitting.
Yeah. He's supposed to be here by now, but because of COVID,
Yeah, there was an issue.
he
with the
needs to
family,
postpone
yeah.
his trip.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get you a copy, Dr. Gracia.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll be back in
Okay.
10 minutes, yeah? Thank you.
Please help us complete the satisfaction survey form too. Thank you.
We also share the links in the chat box, so you can click on the link and fill out the form.
ท่านอาจารย์พัฒนรินทร์ครับพอดีมีถามมาทางไลน์อันนี้เป็นลิงก์เดียวกันหรือเปล่าครับ section 2เนี่ยฮะเป็นคนที่เขากดเข้าลิงก์ที่เราส่งไปเนี่ยสามารถเข้าได้เลยใช่ไหมครับเป็นลิงก์เดียวกันใช่ไหมฮะกับที่
น่า
จะ
จะลิงก์เดี๋ยวน้องแนนรู้ไหมน้องแนน
พอดีผมเห็นไอตัวที่ต่อมันไม่เหมือนกันนะครับ หรือว่า
เดี๋ยวลิงก์นี้น้องแนนเดี๋ยวแนนเป็นคนจัด น่าจะอันเดียวกันนะมันเขียน
โอเคครับน่าจะอันเดียวกันครับถ้าอย่างนั้น ผมจะได้แจ้งเพราะว่าบางท่านต้องการเข้าเฉพาะ section 2เนี่ยฮะ
แนนลิงก์ของเว็บบินาร์นี่เหมือนกันไหม
คนละตัววันนี้เหรอคะ
ใช่
ของวันนี้ตัวเดียวกันค่ะ
ครับฝากคุณแนนเดี๋ยวพูดด้วยนะครับว่าเราจะมีการอัดบันทึกวิดีโอแล้วก็ให้สามารถดูย้อนหลังได้ครับเพราะว่าหลายท่านบางทีติดภารกิจโดยเฉพาะเรื่องที่2เนี่ยครับน่าจะสนใจมากพอควรเลยแต่หลายท่านติดภารกิจแล้วก็คุมสอบอยู่ด้วยครับ
เดี๋ยวได้ค่ะ
แล้วเดี๋ยวเราเอาใส่ในไวรัส channel อะไรเงี้ยฮะแล้วก็มีคนสามารถเปิดให้ Public ดูได้เลย
ค่ะ
แต่ก็ต้องมีการตัดต่อเป็น3ช่วงเนาะก็คือช่วง TC 1 TC 2 TC 3เพราะมันไม่เกี่ยวข้องกันอย่างเงี้ยครับ
ค่ะ
ตัวต่อไปที่เขาเขียนว่าเป็นท็อปQ1 นี่ไอตัวท็อปเทียนี่หมายถึงเปอร์เซ็นต์ทายที่90ขึ้นเลยนะครับตัวนี้นะฮะจะได้เมนชั่นตรงนี้ไปนิดนึง